Hello and welcome back to the Matty Attempts Karting channel. As you can see by the title, I am running out of ideas on what to call the videos. But essentially what we're doing is Santa Karts. This is the Teamsport Christmas event, which is a 10-minute qualifying followed by a 45-minute grid-started race. So, without further ado, let's get into qualifying. Okay, so we're going to skip through most of qualifying because it's not the most interesting thing to watch, especially when it's not exactly one of my fastest laps at all, in the slightest. It's not anywhere near it. So, a bit of a disappointment on that regard, but here is the fastest lap I did achieve. As I've already stated, it's not exactly the fastest lap I did, so it's not going to be the cleanest, so don't watch this if you're looking to get faster at this track. Do not do that. That's not it. But I always find that I do a lot better in qualifying if I get at least a practice session prior, because then I can reflect real quickly on where did I go wrong, you know, and then just fix that for qualifying, and then I'll have a much better qualifying time. But rounding out this qualifying lap, my fastest one, I am going to come in 6th position with a lap time of 32.099. So once again, not the fastest, but it's not terrible. But you know, when I'm 7 tenths, nearly 8, basically 8 tenths off the lead, it's not great. But 6th out of 12 isn't too bad at the end of the day, really. So let's head into the race. Okay, so on to the race. Now, as I said, it is a grid start, and as I've started 6th, I am on the outside, which is not ideal, really. I'm probably in those positions here. Not only that, but the guy who qualified ahead of me right here did ask me if this was going on YouTube, and I said no. So sorry about that. It's in the comments on the last video, so hello. But without further ado, let's start. But before that, I'm going to have to quickly explain why I got such a terrible start, and that's because the marshals were consistently testing the start lights. So when the lights actually went off, I didn't realise it was the actual start, because I'm not sure if a marshal said something and I just didn't hear it. But yeah, the reaction time was slow because of that. So, my bad. Alright, so 5 red lights. And away we go. It's going to be a terrible reaction time, as I said, and we're going to lose 1. And another guy's going to come up my inside, but we're going to keep side by side going into turn 2, where he's going to stick it around the outside, and I'm going to make up the position. So we are down 2 positions now on the first lap, not even halfway through it. So we've got some ground to cover to even have a chance of getting a good result. So as I said, we are down now into P8 and are behind not only a reindeer, an elf, and Santa Claus, but an alien as well. So, very fitting for the Santa Karts. So Santa is going to go for a move, but I'm going to get alongside, try and go down the inside, and I'm going to try and cut him out on the inside, but he's going to keep it, and he's going to keep his position as he's going to try and get an overlap, and I'm going to have a look to see if I can make a move, but then I'm just going to back out at the last second. He did leave enough space, but it did seem like a bit of a risky move. So, hopefully we can catch up to the pack ahead, as our battling here has produced somewhat of a gap, and I believe there is someone on my tail after all of that as well. Skipping forward just 1 lap, and Santa's going to go for a move down into turn 1. We were nowhere near. I don't know if we didn't have a boost, we just got a terrible exit, but yeah, it wasn't great. We're going to have to try and get through the alien as fast as possible. We're going to get on the inside here, and I think we're going to get the move up into this corner, and yes, he's being closed out now. So catch back up to Santa, get past Santa, and then we've got reindeers and elves and all other Christmas things and non-Christmas things to catch up to. Alright, several laps later, and we have caught up to Santa Claus up ahead. Now, we were running at quite similar paces. I was just quicker in some sections, one being at this down ramp, where I quite often caught up there. But I just couldn't get past him, it would seem. Now, I'm going to just fast forward and show you lap after lap after lap, and I do keep tapping him. He wants to work together, but he's losing me time, so I just want to get past at this point, you know. So as we've been putting in a lot of consistent laps as a pair, we have caught up to, I assume that is a back marker, and we're going to get alongside, but he's going to get past, and I'm going to get stuck behind the back marker for a couple of laps. Then we're going to have to try and reel back in Santa Claus, but ultimately I think we're still going to be stuck behind him, but we are going to probably try and go for some more moves, as, you know, there are a couple corners where I'm going a bit quicker, and it's just like, I can probably make a move here, but none of them happen. None of them do happen, I don't think. Now, something that I haven't explained is the pit stops to this race. Now, there are 2 pit stops we're going to have to do because of its length in race, and the reason for the title being on the good list is because when we pull into the pit lane, we have to basically put our hand in this box, which is essentially a raffle, and you pull out a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper it either gives you a time advantage by, you know, penalising another driver, or you just penalise yourself, so a 2-second penalty to yourself, or a 2-second time penalty to the car ahead or behind, essentially. It could go up to 5 seconds, I believe, so that's quite a sizable amount. So we're going to no longer have to follow Santa anymore, and we're going to get pulled into the pits, and we're going to have to get our piece of paper. Now, it's probably obvious, but while I'm in the pits, I will be losing positions as time goes on. Now, we're going to have to go and quickly grab our piece of paper, which I grab a load of, and then I'm just going to hand it over, and then just jump into the next kart. And hopefully I haven't lost too many positions. But as I'm going to start to leave the pits, I'm going to see a reindeer coming around, and we're in P6. Our grid position where we started, but I don't believe Santa has pitted yet. But that doesn't really matter. We're going to try and put in some faster laps than Santa to try and get past him when he finishes his pit stop, as I was trying to warm up this kart, because otherwise we're not going to be putting in some faster laps. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest. In this bit of time after leaving the pits, practically nothing happened, so I think I may only overtake 2 back markers in this time frame. I'm not entirely sure. But I basically just exit the pits and find myself in no man's land. So I just got to churn lap after lap after lap and just hope I am going fast enough to, you know, at least come out the pits in a good position after my second pit stop. So I could basically just do a hard cut to when I'm going to it. Here we go. Now, surprisingly, after doing all of those laps in no man's land, and I assume being probably one of the last people to pit, maybe? I don't entirely know where I'm getting pitted. I could probably find out, but I don't care enough to. So, I'm going to find myself pitting while in P1, of all places. So let's just make it a quick pit. But you're going to see, this is exactly where it becomes not a quick pit, because me, after doing lap after lap after lap, my brain has turned into racing driver mush, and I cannot read for the life of me. So, when he asked me to read it out, I just blanked out and didn't have a clue what reading is, to be completely honest. So, yeah. But we are going to find ourselves exiting the pits in P7. So, we've technically net gain of 1 position from the start, but I just had a look, and there are 4 drivers ahead that still haven't done a pit. So, if I've been putting in faster laps, that means P3. Did I put in fast enough laps? After qualifying P6, you'd think not really, would you? Well, that was a terrible corner, crikey. So, put in some fast laps, get some heat in these tyres, and hopefully we can gain some positions. Alright, skipping forward now, we're going to go around the first corner and find that Santa leaves the pits directly in front of us. And as I saw that happen, I literally said no in despair, because I was hoping I would put in fast enough laps to get past him, but sadly he exits the pits just ahead of me. So we're going to have a battle on our hands, and he's looking to work together, but I just do not want to. It's the last pits. This is now racing until the end. I wasn't wanting to work with you early in the race. I don't want to now. So we've got to get past him, and I think, had I known how to read in my pit stop, I probably would have got past him. So the fact when I was asked to read out that note and I couldn't is probably the downfall in this situation. But either way, I'm currently in P4. There's P3 and P2. Up ahead I can see the track positions. Some people have done their pit stops, so don't know how many more there are to go. So if I get past these two, that's a podium, unless someone from behind can catch up. So I'm going to give it my all. So a few laps later, and me and Santa have now caught up to the whatever driver up ahead. I don't know what their mask is, but yeah. I sadly lose out on the straight due to not having any boost, but Santa is going to get right onto the tail of the hairy masked guy in the black suit, and he's going to get the move done. So hopefully I can get the move done as well, but Santa might pull away now he's got past, and I might just not manage to make a move done. It was a real shame I couldn't follow Santa through there, because I just didn't have the boost available on the straight. But we are going to be right on the hairy masked guy's bumper going onto the straight and into turn 1. But he's going to peel off into the pits, so that's going to be P3 and a podium for me, assuming no one from behind catches up. But if we can catch up to Santa up ahead, that would be P2. So that would be lovely. About half a lap later, and we've caught back up onto the tail of Santa Claus. So we can get past him, that's P2, and that'll be brilliant. But the guy in the hairy mask did just come out of the pits directly in front of us, and he's going to go side by side with Santa. We're going to try and follow the hairy mask guy through, but Santa's going to keep it there, and we're going to try and go around the outside. It's not going to work, as P4 is right behind us now, and we're going to try and get the move done on and get P2 going into the straight. But as P3 now goes down the inside, and we're going to move down into P3, as I think we're going to overtake someone who is in the pit lane. So we have now made it up to P2, and P1 is directly ahead. So the race for the win is actually on, if we can just keep up with P1, who did qualify in P1 8 tenths ahead of us earlier. As P3 is going to go for a move down the inside into one of the final corners, we're going to go side by side into the chicane, and we're going to keep it going through. He's going to back out, luckily, but we have lost time to the lead now, so we're not going to be able to get past the back markers. They do as well. Except they do get slowed down, so maybe we will. We're going to go around the outside, but then we're just going to get shown the barrier, and we're going to drop down into P3 now. So, not ideal, but we're going to just try and get past them again. I think P1 is likely going to run away with it now, because if we're going to try and get up to P2, that's a battle, as well as there being a back marker there. So, the best thing we can really do is just get racy. Alright, so just about over a lap later, an opportunity is going to arise to get P2, as P2 is going to try and get past the back marker, and I'm going to use that to my advantage and get down the inside into P2. And now we're stuck behind the back marker, so as we go for the move of the back marker, we're going to hopefully not lose out to P3 behind now. So we've got to dispose of this back marker and not lose out at the same time, as I know that P3 is going to be a little annoyed that they lost out of position because of the back marker, but we're going to get past, and we are going to try and just defend to the end, because you can see the leader over there has escaped. So if we can really put in some laps into these final few laps of the race, we might get P1, but P2 seems quite likely. Either way, let's just quickly forget about this, because this lap we're about to go on is my fastest one of the race and of the entire session on this day. To clarify, that is the fastest lap that I achieved over the day. The fastest lap done was like a tenth quicker. It's a pretty quick lap. It's not too far off my personal best, even though this is quite a chilly December, so I assume the track in general was a lot colder than it was when I originally set my original PB, so that means either I'm making this up about how the track was more slippery now than it was then, and there's no real difference here, or I just improved quite a lot, because that was a 31.437. So, a few more laps to go until the end of the race. That was the fastest one I did achieve right near the end. Anyway, you can see P1 there. I think I am slightly gaining. That could just be because of the back marker, or because I am doing some of the fastest laps I did in the whole race at the end here, being quite consistently around the 31.5. So, not too bad. But skipping forward maybe 1 or 2 laps, we're on our final lap, and you can see the gap to the lead was just there. So it hasn't really changed too much in overall. Maybe I gained a slight bit back because, you know, I had to get past that back marker too. But we're going to come around across the line for P2, which on a members night I'm quite chuffed to bits with. But there's one caveat to that, and that's the raffle aspect. If you remember, I pulled a piece of paper from a box, and that either gave a penalty to me or to others, and it would seem I got a decent chunk of penalties, enough to actually demote me in the end to P3. So at the end of the day, it's not that bad. P3 in a members event, I'm quite happy with that. So I took that trophy home, and I was well happy with that. So pretty good result. So that's it. And if you've actually watched it this far, I'm just going to say thank you. Means quite a lot. As well as if you did enjoy and you are not subscribed, I would love it if you did, to be honest. Growing channel, and I'm not only going to the Brighton track, as much as it does seem that I have also been to the Southampton track and the Crawley track. Those just are videos to come. I just thought it'd make more sense to do a Christmas event somewhat closer to Christmas. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.